Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Bladewolf KKKO and I am here to talk about motorsports and sim racing from a furry perspective. Today's topic will be, of course, we'll be talking about the start of the first Formula 1 2020 Grand Prix of the season, which will take place in the Red Bull Ring in Spielberg, Austria. This, however, is the first of the two Grand Prix in Austria, the first being Austria Grand Prix itself, while the other one in the following week will be called the Steiermark Grand Prix. As mentioned in one of the previous videos I have done, the second Grand Prix is called Steiermark, even though it's in the same place in Austria. It's primarily because of the Concord Agreement which they have done, where they can't have two Grand Prix the same name in the same year, which of course is weird considering other race categories, so simply to say race 1 or race 2, or Saturday race and Sunday race, etc, etc. Anyway, let's get on with the topic. In the qualifying, it was a newly refreshed Bottas driving for Mercedes who managed to take pole. This was followed closely by the Red Bull driver Max Verstappen. And in third place, it was a very impressive Lando Norris in the McLaren. The reason why this was impressive to see Lando Norris that high up in the grid is not only it was his highest position he ever got since he started in Formula 1, it's also quite impressive because McLaren in the previous years has a lot of misfortune, falling backwards down the grid order over the years, and it was only in the last couple of years they only recently started to rebuild a team to slowly work their way up. This was not only the most impressive thing to happen in qualifying, but also both of the Racing Point drivers Sergio Perez and Lance Stroll got as high up as finishing 6th and 9th respectively. Ferrari, however, did not have a great session, and it was clearly that they did not have the pace compared to last season, with only the Monegasque driver Charles Leclerc making it through to qualifying 3. The current Formula 1 World Champion Lewis Hamilton also not quite got the result he wanted, despite setting the second fastest time in qualifying. This was because he got demoted after failing to slow down during the yellow flags when Bottas went off the track, and because of this he ended up starting on 5th position on the grid. The race itself was absolutely fantastic and probably one of the best ones I've seen in a while. It was surprisingly a high attrition race. Given the fact that most of the cars over the years has so much improved reliability, you normally only see 1 or 2 cars that tend to break down. Not only that, there was a fair few safety cars that certainly played its part in this race, especially that it sort of went against Lewis Hamilton, who was planning to undercut Bottas using a different tyre strategy in order to overcome him in the race. However, even though Mercedes seemed to be controlling the race with a 1-2 lead by that point, it was not all being plain sailing, as both cars seemed to have an issues with the gearbox when the sensors had started to fail. This was caused by the cars going over the curves constantly. This also pretty much highlights that the car could be itself more fragile over the season, something we need to keep an eye out on future races. During the race there was a couple of scary moments, especially that Magnussen went off the track after a brake failure, as well as Kimi Raikkonen, who also lost a wheel after the safety car restart. There was a few hard breaks too, one in particular George Russell, who was clearly outperforming the car during the race, and if he hadn't retired due to the issue, he would have easily picked up a few points for Williams, who really needed a look considering the financial troubles they had during the outbreak. The race itself was not without some form of controversy, as Lewis Hamilton came together with Alex Albon. This happened after Alex Albon tried to overtake Lewis Hamilton on the outside of the corner, and unfortunately the back wheel of Albon catching the front part of Lewis Hamilton. Sadly, Alex Albon came off much worse in the incident as he got spun off the track. And because of this, Hamilton got given a 5-second time penalty, which to be honest is a bit harsh considering that when you're looking at replays, looking at his steering wheel in particular, he wasn't feeding out the wheel like you normally do naturally as you're coming out the corner. If anything, he was trying to keep it turn in, and by the looks of it, it looks like he has got some form of understeer. However, it was not until I was watching another YouTube video done by F1 Elvis, the former McLaren mechanic, who explained why Hamilton had got penalised, and it was all down to that he didn't yield by slowing down as Albon went past him to let him through. However, in all seriousness, he is a racing driver and it's unlikely they'll want to try and yield, especially when they want to try and keep hold of their position. In the end, the race was deservedly won by Vitaly Bottas, who kept it cool and calm as he took Mercedes to a very good victory despite having a gearbox issue. This was closely followed by Charles Leclerc, who finished a very strong second place considering how bad a car is, and he managed to haul it up and outperformed the car. Finally, in third place, we got Lando Norris, which gave him his very first F1 podium after doing those 2 wonderful laps at the end, where he managed to close the gap close enough to Lewis Hamilton and go under the 5-second time penalty to steal the third place. And not only that, he also got a bonus point for setting the fastest time in a race. My overall view of the race, that it has been absolutely fantastic, and there's been a lot of interesting things to take from this, and I'm looking forward to see how it plays out during the season. And I'm hoping that there'll be a few more surprises along the way, especially if it produces more races like this one. Anyway, before I wrap up this video, even though I did enjoy reviewing this particular race, sadly due to my time availability outside making these videos, I won't be able to do it for every race. However, if this has shown to be very positive and people actually want to encourage me to do more of these, I would happily do one and try to plan it out a bit more. For now, I'll be trying to cover other parts of the topics in other motorsports as well. In particular, I also want to talk about a bit of sim racing. In any case, I hope you like my race review on this video. See you soon, and how are you later? Au!